Do you guys see that? See that there? Lizard. My iguana. Yes, sometimes when I catch her, she rolls in my hands and thrashes and whips her tail. She does that because she's an iguana. And they're wild animals. They're not domestic. I have to remind myself of that sometimes. They're not dogs, and you can't ever make them be like dogs because they're wild animals. I ran out of big bandage. You see my arm? It's pretty ravaged. This is her latest. Yeah, this one isn't quite as bad. Pretty ravaged. I've given up my dream of becoming a hand model. Yeah, and people who have iguanas, they have them and they put up with the damage that goes along with having iguanas because they love the animal. They are so smart. They are so smart. It's unbelievable how smart they are. And it's great to have an intelligent animal like that. When I had birds, when I had large birds, my husband got the birds when we divorced because I was happy to get rid of the noise. They were smart too, but they were so noisy and so messy. And lizards are, in my opinion, right up there with birds in intelligence. I could be wrong, but they sure act. They sure act like they're very smart animals. Anyway, there is a point to all this. People have passions. They have passions for a certain kind of animal or a passion to learn, a passion to understand, a passion to discover and explore. Way back when, people who wanted to sail the sea and try to find other lands beyond the vast expanse of water were ridiculed by the church. They were ridiculed, and I said in a recent video it was against the law to look at the stars. So fears were nourished that there was an edge to the water if you sailed too far, or there were sea monsters if you that would get you if you sailed too far, and fear-mongering thwarted the efforts to expand knowledge. Excuse me. Fear-mongering thwarted science, thwarted society, and the fear-mongering was caused by religion. Bringing me to the point of my video, it's still going on today. Some people it's enough for them that a book says something. A book says it, so it's true, and it's enough for them. And then, and it's fine. It's fine if they want to be, if they want to have a book be their basis for reality. But then they try to mock and ridicule, just like back in the day, people who want to know and explore and discover. They want to ridicule those people. There's a web. I'm so not awake. It's morning. This is my time to make videos for some reason when I'm really looking like shit after sleeping. I do look a little better as time goes by. But in the morning, this is when I look my shittiest. My voice is lower. My throat is half here. My brain is like, is this a dream? Am I dreaming? Yeah, please tell me I'm still asleep. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, Christians upset over Noah's Ark Russell Crowe's movie. There's a thread under this video. 22 replies under a comment that I made. My comment, does the film make the story seem absurd to the poor Christians? Good, because it is. 22 comments are under this little comment of mine. And it's somebody who doesn't give a rat about understanding or trying to figure things out. He's just mocking He's mocking science. He's mocking people who make the effort to try to explain and understand and know. Millionth username is what his name is. And I blew a gasket yesterday. I just blew up. His first comment was, "Can you recommend a film I can watch which depicts the rocks evolving into talking apes? I would just love to watch that kind of absurdist comedy." Slang nice. I don't think I can say his name. Some guy who knows a little bit about science, certainly a hell of a lot more than I do. SLA, N as in Nancy, GUAJ, writes, "Millionth username. The truth often seems absurd to the ignorant. Rocks do not reproduce and thus cannot evolve. But so far, all the evidence suggests the idea that 1. Humans and apes share a common ancestor. Humans are apes, side note. And 2, organic material comes from inorganic material, i.e. rocks. Again, these ideas are supported by every observation we make in the natural world and are therefore not absurd. You have a better idea? Then show us the evidence." I lost it. "Then show us the evidence, because believing that a sadistic deity made man out of clay and breathed life into his nostrils, all because of one book. Now that is absurd." You know, and that's the thing that drives me crazy, and this is when I went berserk yesterday, I made a comment that I was completely off my rocker berserk. That's what I was saying. The double standard is so glaring. Oh, we all have to have people who believe in the method of science and hunger to have an understanding of how the world works or how the world came to be, and they study and they test and they retest and they form hypothesis and then they study some more, are mocked. People like that are mocked. People who appreciate their work and appreciate learning new things are mocked by these people who don't give a rat's ass. I mean, evidence is so important when we have to try to explain ourselves why we think such and such science makes sense to us more than a Bronze Age book. We have to explain. We have to present our evidence, which of course they'll just mock anyway. But where's their evidence? Why are they not laying their evidence on the table for us to look at, and examine and test and theorize? Theorize, probably the wrong word. Anyway, I am barely awake, but where's their evidence? Why are they not laying it on the table? They put a book on the table. Ken Ham, well, there is a book. And that's enough. That's enough. They want us, non-scientist people, to have the scientific wherewithal to answer scientific questions about stuff that scientists go to school for and study and learn about and practice on a daily basis. They want people like myself to just have the evidence. Oh, I'm sorry. I have that in this box over here. Wait, let me get it out and I'll put my evidence here for you to examine. In other words, mock. That's the other thing. What little evidence somebody like I am capable of presenting? Oh, if I don't have it handy, I'm expected to go online and find all these articles and all these things to show my evidence. Right? I'm supposed to do all that. I have to do all that work. Try to go back and recompile all the things that I've read in my 51 years of life that has led me to believe that evolution is true and that cosmology is true. All the things that I've picked up along the way that have enforced my belief that this is the way it is. Even when I was a Christian, I believed in these sciences. I'm supposed to present that now, so it can be mocked. But they don't present a single scrap of evidence, and they don't feel any need to. It doesn't even cross their minds that they should have evidence to show for their beliefs. Oh no, we have a book. We have a God. We have a Sky Daddy. He's up there. Oh, we just know he is because we get warm, fuzzy feelings. Anyway, Millionthusername writes this guy back. Rocks do not reproduce and thus cannot evolve. But they have no intelligence, and thus they can self-assemble into complex living cells, right? Is that science? It's like they purposely stay stupid, or they purposely make a scientific theory or hypothesis sound so absurd, you know, by putting it into terms so simplistic or exaggerating them so they are totally sounding ridiculous, like, oh, we are monkeys, right? Actually, we're great apes. We are one of the many great apes. Well, not so many anymore, thank you, humans. But we are one of the great ape species on this planet right now. So yes. Humans and apes have a common ancestor. Show me a proven lineage from ape to human. You weren't listening, dumbass. He doesn't say there's a lineage from ape to human. He says there's a lineage of a common ancestor. So in other words, oh, I'll use a better visual. This guy here is the common ancestor. This guy here, this is really bad. I'm sorry, this will confuse creationists even more. They're going to say, oh, you claim that ducks come from dog toys. A common ancestor's walking along, okay? Okay? Lots of time goes by. His children creates children. Some children go over to this part of the world. Some children go over to this part of the world. Environmental changes happen. Millions of years. Except it's really hundreds of thousands of years, not millions of years. I think if we're, well, I suppose it is millions of years because if you want to go back far enough, our common ancestor was a little single-celled creature in the water. We came from a common ancestor. We did not come from apes. We actually are apes. I wish... Anyway, show me a proven lineage from apes to humans. There is none because that's not what evolution claims. Names. This is what he wants. Names, dates, places. Okay, so show us some evidence for your fucking shit. Names, dates, places that aren't from a book. One book. Written by unknown people. Who knows exactly when, or where, or what was the motivation for them to write it, or how much money they were paid to write it by what church. Oh wait, you don't have that, do you? Sorry, I forgot. Modern science means we make claims and then yell at people and call them names if they don't swallow the whole load of what we say about non-repeatable observed events in the past, in the distant past. A lot of this stuff is repeatable and testable. Again, these ideas are supported by every observation we make in the natural world and are therefore not absurd. Yay! Because you observe rocks becoming bacteria all the time, right? And you observe apes acquiring the power of speech and reason. You know what? Here's something you don't know. There are actually apes that talk on this planet. Apes, not humans. Apes talk on this planet. So stop mocking apes, please. I actually look at apes as another form of people on this planet. And unfortunately, because they don't look like us and talk like us and act exactly like us, they're almost extinct now. But apes do talk. They might not talk verbally, although I have actually read a story, Songs of the Gorilla Nation by Dawn Prince, who actually claims that a bonobo, I think she's talking about a bonobo that actually did say words. But they do sign, and they can learn a hell of a lot of words, and it's not like parrots. They form sentences. They express what they want. They express whole ideas with sign language. So yes, apes do talk. I am so digressing. People like this just anger me so much. Or is it simply because the magic of all caps and calling people who don't buy your bull ignorant? I love every observation here. So that means that when I observe that cats have kittens and dogs have puppies and humans have baby humans and apes have baby apes, that supports bacteria to man evolution. Can the guy sound any more absurd? It's like he's just jumbling random things together and exaggerating them. Kitten Juggle writes to this guy, Millionthusername. Have you ever looked at the fossil records we have today? Just go on Wikipedia and you can find all that shit. And unlike with religion, scientists didn't just guess how we were created. They collect and analyze data for years. They have many peers analyze the data. After careful evaluation, they draw conclusions using inference, the power of caps, parentheses. If you have a theory with more evidence to back it up than the theory of evolution has, then please share. I wrote, they don't even have a theory. Creationism doesn't even get to have the privilege to call itself a theory. Let's see. I don't want to read too much of Millionthusername crap because, as you have now observed already, it is crap. So moving on, I want to get to the point that, wait a minute. Come on. Where's the comments that I was looking for? Okay, I'm gonna have to put this puppy on hold while I find the comments and come back. Okay, I found the other comments, or at least some of them. I wrote to this guy, I'm sorry you have such precious little grasp of what evolution is. Yes, God waving his magic wand and going presto makes so much more sense. I'd like to know, what was this God creature doing with himself during the countless millennia before he decided to create the galaxy? Just waiting around, picking his nose? Evolution is change over time. Time. No cells did not randomly throw themselves together. Read a fucking book. Stop hiding behind the stupidity of your Bronze Age tribal god religion as an excuse for such ignorance. I also wrote, because he referred, gosh, if I can find his comment, he refers to evolution as a cult. It's really hard to... Here we go. This is the one that I was responding to. Wait a minute, where'd it go? Shoot! Where'd it go? I feel stupid now. I had it there, and it's gone now. I did find the comments I was looking for, but I had to go to my phone to do it. I don't know why, but sometimes on my computer things are more elusive. I don't like the new YouTube, but anyway. So I'm going to endeavor to read this with my crappy vision. Actually, somebody told me if I do this with my glasses, somebody at the, I went to the eye store, Pearl Vision, they said, the guy told me that he has a friend who's 65 years old who refuses to get bifocals, and he does this with his glasses, and he's as blind as me, and so I'm going to try to read with my glasses down like this and see what happens. Anyway, so, after that stellar example of mental prowess that Millionthusername demonstrated, we have a reply from this guy, Slangguag, Salangla. I have no idea how to say that. He writes, I thought my answer was clear enough, but I'll try again. For starters, how life began is not part of evolution. Evolution is how life changes once it's already started. What you're describing here when you talk about rocks becoming cells is actually abiogenesis. I have no idea how to say abiogenesis. Abiogenesis. It's A-B-I-O genesis, not evolution. Abiogenesis, I'm going to say this way. I know it's wrong, but I have to decide on a way to say it for this note, for this video. Abiogenesis is the idea that non-living material can become living purely through physics or natural forces. Unlike evolution, abiogenesis, that sounds familiar. I bet you anything it's a biogenesis. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Okay, we'll say a biogenesis. It sounds a lot better than abiogenesis. Okay, yes, I am not very smart. I only went to college for 1 year, and it was for art and creative writing. I did not really have a huge interest in science until my adult years. I got into paleontology. Does not make me a fucking scientist. And you know I have trouble with big words. Okay, a biogenesis? A biogenesis! I wonder how it's really supposed to be said. A biogenesis has never been observed. What we have observed is that the materials that life is made of can come from rocks. And scientists have caused these materials to arrange into the 4 bases that form our DNA by attempting to simulate the atmosphere of early Earth. So while biogenesis, watch Diane make a fool of herself, news at 11. So while a biogenesis isn't a fact, it appears to be possible, and it's currently the simplest explanation for the origin of life because it involves only natural forces we know exist, unlike supernatural explanations. A biogenesis. I bet you anything it's pronounced a biogenesis. Oh, I'm so the big word. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to pronounce it's a big word. But I want to. Oh shit, whatever. You know what? People who accuse me of trying to act like I know stuff are so fucking off base. I do know some stuff, and I don't need this for right now. I do know some stuff, and I will put what I know out there. Like the thing about the apes, like the thing about, I know some things about fossils, very small, very, very small knowledge about fossils, but I know a little actual knowledge about fossils, mostly having to do with how you harvest them, how you get them, the different kinds of hammers and little, you know, things, the tools and stuff, and how you break shale into pages and stuff like that. More of the hands-on application, not so much the science of paleontology, but the field work is stuff that I know. Anyway, but I don't claim to know a lot of stuff. I have a good idea of evolution, but I don't consider myself remotely knowledgeable about it. I'm certainly not an expert. And I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to saying a biogenesis. Okay, so I wrote him, now I have to do this again. Thanks for the calm and rational response after my blowing a gasket like I did. Yes, a complete meltdown over the staggering double standard demonstrated yet again. If you believe in the methods of science, you must present evidence. But if you believe a unexplained, unproven Mr. Wizard in the sky magicked everything up with a wave of his shiny hand, you don't. No evidence required. They don't even think about evidence or needing any. The fact some book says it is all they need. I find this double standard and the constant mockery of men and women who do labor to discover and understand very upsetting, to say the least. You know, I'm trying to find the comment. where I did blow a gasket. You know, I wonder if it was deleted, because I didn't swear though. I got very angry. Yes, very, very angry. And I was hoping my phone I'd be able to find more comments, including the one where I got really pissed off. Do 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 do. He wrote me one too that I would love to read if I can find it. Here, this is the one. This is the one where oh my God, you will not believe what he wrote to me. This is the note he wrote to me that caused me to blow a fucking gasket, okay? D free D. Creationism doesn't even get to have the privilege to call itself a theory. He's quoting me. Then he writes, because the evolution cult doesn't allow free inquiry. It's a state-sponsored religion of materialism masquerading as science, having no basis in real science. It rejects the scientific method in favor of the repeated incantation of claims and the use of mockery against anyone who asks for a demonstration of those claims. These people think that if they repeat their claims often enough and forcefully enough, they can turn their beliefs into facts and then yell at anyone else for being unenlightened. Does that description sound familiar to you, atheists? A little bit sounds a little bit like Christians, doesn't it? Creationists, doesn't it? If they yell out enough that their fucking God did it, and mock people who say otherwise. I'm sorry, but he's literally calling the kettle black. He's literally describing what Christians do constantly to anybody who doesn't believe in their fucking Bible or creation. I'm really trying to find my video. Or my video. My comment that is so very... See, and I'm building it up to be really... Oh, here, I found it. It's amazing. You can find so much more on phones. I found it. I'm pretty sure this is it. If it's long... No, it's not. It's not it, but it's one of the ones I wrote. Evolution cult. Wow, just what I thought stupid couldn't get more profound. Evolution is a proven scientific theory. Mountains of evidence supports it. Hard evidence and testable results. You want to call it a cult to try to divert attention from the fact your creationism is a children's story derived from a book of myth and legend. Go right ahead. I enjoy a good laugh. I also write, the very fact you can sit there and say there is no evidence to support it proves to me you are a blithering idiot. I'm sorry, but don't waste my time. Next. Oh, okay. So, I found the note that I totally lose my mind. I totally blow a gasket. And I'm going to read it, and then that'll be the end of this very long video. But I really wanted to read this. I wrote him this. He hasn't replied yet. He wrote to this other person, have you studied the fossil record? And I write, millionth username. Actually, I have looked at the fossil record. I have studied paleontology and volunteered at the Burke Museum here in Washington State for many years. You are a God of the Gaps creationist. Ooh, looky here. Science hasn't figured out all the answers yet. We can fit our little God hypothesis right here. Can't figure out the genetics? That means God did it. Because there can't be any other explanation. No. And not just any God, but my God. Naturally. The Christian God. But of course, Mr. He waves his magical wand and everything just pops into existence from thin air. And we don't need to have any evidence or proof of our precious creationism. No. You do for your science, but we don't. Hell no, because we have the Bible, a book, and not just a book, but a really thick book, and it's inspired by our God because it says so. Just lost my place. Shit, I lost my place. It's long. Because it says so. We don't have to prove this God exists. No. We don't have to prove the Bible is inspired by this God or that the earth wasn't created by some other God. Hell no. I'm sorry, but your double standards sicken me. You want to ask a non-scientist to explain genetics. Why not you demonstrate how this God came to exist first? Just always was there, wasn't he? Floating around, picking his nose for countless millennia until he got bored enough and decided to create something. That's your idea of an explanation? Ooh, he doesn't need to be explained because he is God, the mystical, magical. What a fucking cop-out. And you all do it. You want to try to bully me because I don't know everything there is to know about DNA? Fuck you. Before I owe you anything remotely resembling science, parentheses, I'd have to take some classes in DNA first. You must demonstrate some hard facts yourself that isn't just a fucking book that shows your God exists, that it's your God and not some other God, and hard evidence to show how exactly he just popped everything into existence. So, and then I wrote, rocks did not evolve into anything. Your stupidity is showing. Why not you make the effort to go and study genetics and evolution and cosmology or abiogenesis? That's really when I was saying genetics, I was trying to figure out what science he was talking about. And I looked up study of DNA. Anyway, it's abiogenesis or whatever. However it's pronounced. Why sit there and insult whole fields of science you don't begin to understand? So anyway, there they are. There's the notes. And if you want to go to the thread and respond to this guy yourself, if you feel the inclination to unload, or maybe just you have a better way of explaining things than, you know, that maybe would actually cause a flicker of, I don't know, in the brain of this person, go for it. The video is called Christians Upset Over Noah's Ark Russell Crowe Movie. Anyway, so that's the end of my video. I'm turning my computer on so I can put it up on here and you guys can laugh at my attempts to pronounce big words. Thanks for watching. Bye.